Welcome back to the Keegan and Company podcast. For those who are new to the show, my name is Keegan Hipgrave. And guys, if you haven't already, could I get you to jump over, give us a little like and subscribe, or whatever platform you listen to this podcast on, whether it's Apple, YouTube, Spotify. It's a great way for us to grow the podcast, grow the platform, and just have some incredible crew come on like I've got on today. In this episode, I'm joined by former AFL player for the Gold Coast Suns, Tom Nichols. How are you, brother?
Good, Keeks, good. When you said incredible crew, I almost looked around. I was like, where are they? Are they here?
Are they coming in? Mate, how are you feeling?
I'm good, mate. I'm good, yeah. We're in New York.
Yeah.
You're here. We're at Layla. Not to plug, but the best restaurant.
Mate, I was just telling the crew before rolling it, like, this setup, I don't know if crew, like, for those who are listening and not watching, we're in this like sick little wine bar. We came to New York yesterday, and man, what a spot, man. New York is epic. You can see why you moved here, yeah?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. There's a lot on offer, and what is on offer is, some of the best in the world. So
mate,
here we are.
Even like, I was telling Cobes and yourself, like, just beforehand, I was like, because back home, we've got a studio on the Gold Coast, which is sick, like, it's really nice, but even more lately, like, I love the idea of just coming into cool places.
Yeah.
And we rolled into Layla, and obviously don't know what to expect, but it's like this beautiful little wine bar. You were here a couple of hours ago.
Yeah. And it's 8 a.m. for those playing at home. So you do the math.
The crew has made some beautiful coffees for us, but mate, like, I'm pumped to be here. Even just like, there's something about it. Hey, like, we went to the Jets game last night.
Yes.
And mate, everything's pumping, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
You find that?
Oh, of course. They obviously call it the city that doesn't sleep for a reason. So, yeah, it's good. That's the other thing too, like having people come over and mates come over. It's kind of nice to play tour guide and show you guys a few of the local jaunts.
So is many crew hitting you up about taking that spare bedroom?
Funny you ask. I don't know if the camera will get this on, but I've actually got a Google Sheet.
Oh, no way.
The place is it's almost turned into a hotel.
Who's coming up?
Yeah. So you're in there.
Oh,
obviously, the great man. Mum and dad.
In there?
Yeah. Leroy's on his way.
That's a sickles. Man, a heap of the boys came.
I'm not lying.
This is great for
I'm not looking up Keegan's highlights. This is actually Google Sheets, I swear.
Mate, that's so sick. Because you had a heap of the Goldie crew come over. What, earlier this year?
Yes, in January
Sean,
this year.
Those boys came over.
Hutto, Blakey, Marky, the big horse, and Sky. So it was awesome, mate. Like you guys are doing, but they were here for like 3 weeks.
They did the whole thing.
Yeah, you really get to lean into the New York lifestyle.
What do you mate? Where's the obviously you bring them here to Layla for a sick little.
The guys will know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. But like, what do you reckon the main points are? Like, if you were going to take people over for like a weekend, what are the spots? You reckon?
Yeah, well, I guess Cobes, the great man behind the camera, got to experience. So we're in Williamsburg, which is in Brooklyn, and there's a bit more space than Manhattan. So getting to any of the parks, so Domino Park right near the water, McCarran Park, are great places to start, because they say like Melbourne's a diverse city, but as you've like experienced in the 48 hours or whatever you've been here, nothing compares to New York. Like, you literally get like all walks of life here. So yeah, getting to those parklands are really cool, because you get to amazing people watching. And people here just come up to you and have a chat, which is like one of the biggest things I enjoy and like. So yeah,
we found that last night, like at the game. We were getting some like hot dogs or whatever, and this guy's like turned around and she's like, "You guys from Australia?" Like, I don't maybe it's Australian things. Mate, we were yarning for ages just because you just wanted to talk shop, but that wasn't just that. Like, happens all the time. Like, ever since being here, it's epic.
Yeah. Someone described it to me the other day. A lot of Americans view us as British Texans. So, yeah.
Yeah, I love that, man.
Yeah,
hey,
perfect little combo.
I'm keen to talk about like the transition and how you come over here. But I think, and also like your AFL career, I don't want to like jump over that because it's obviously a huge part of your life.
Yeah,
but
won't need long for that.
Yeah,
perfect.
I think we've got a very similar story.
Nice.
But mate, like before we dive into all that, I kind of just want to get a little background in what growing up in the Nichols household looked like. Like where you came from. Was it always AFL? Did you mix around with other sports? Like, what did that look like?
Yeah, so I grew up in country Victoria, a little town called Yarrawonga. Sports was a massive part of our life growing up. So mum's Fijian. She played a lot of sport back in Fiji, a lot of netball. Dad's born in Tassie. hence the second head popping out of the shoulder. Thanks, Dad. So yeah, to your point, played everything, mate. We played tennis was our first sport. I've got an older brother, Pat, who lives in LA over here, so that's really handy. Obviously, having some support and a bit of a network over here. He was an elite tennis player, and then moved to Melbourne when I was about 12. So when I moved there at the end of primary school, started playing like all sports. Basketball, volleyball, footy. And then, that's, I guess, when you move to Melbourne, a lot of opportunities there, and that's kind of where that pathway took off.
Why do you think you stayed with footy instead of like tennis, like volleyball, basketball? Like,
great question.
Why was footy the pick out of all of them?
Yeah, really good question. Because basketball was honestly probably my favourite sport to play, even though it's caused me a bit of grief. Caused me a bit of mischief lately.
I think we're going to address it. We'll address the elephant room in a second.
We've
got to put our post-surgery couple weeks post, but we'll circle back to it.
Okay. We'll put a pin in that one.
Put a bookmark in it.
Yeah, but to answer your question, mate, AFL at a grassroots level, especially in Victoria, and trying in Queensland and New South Wales, hence the expansion clubs, have really good grassroots network. So when you're playing football as a youngster, so much infrastructure, so much like resources they put into it that they like give you these career pathways and opportunities from a young age. And then if you're tall and got a little bit of well, honestly, you just get like so many opportunities. So like in short, that was probably the deciding factor for me. Basketball when I was growing up was quite political. People would be playing because they parents knew someone or whatever, but footy was very impartial and so many opportunities.
Have you always had the height? Like, have you always been a big lengthy thing?
I was born this high. Sorry. Cheers, Mum. Amazing effort.
Mate, even rolling into the apartment last night, because obviously like we've got a heap of mutuals, but it's like the first time like proper meeting you yesterday, which is weird because I feel like I already know you really well.
Yeah.
Like, gave me a big hug and I was like, fuck me, like
You're
like tearing over.
Yeah.
It's so sick. Mate,
they weren't lying.
It's obviously like it's cool that like you got to lean into it. You got to go into the professional system. I'd love to zoom in a bit about that because you went into a system super young, like still in high school.
Yeah. So when we came through, I touched on before about the expansion club. So played for Gold Coast, the Suns or the Sons as you pronounce them. That was the last year. So the year prior to that, you could get drafted when you were 17. So a mate of mine, Jack Watts, I think his draft was the last draft group where you were literally in year 12, like playing professional footy. So they kind of had the same thing for us. So I was a 17-year-old, so school in Melbourne, got drafted, and was doing like a full AFL. We were in the VFL, but doing a full AFL program while we were 17, turning 18.
How wild would it be like being in a professional system but then still being at high school?
Yeah, mate, it's bizarre. Like, and when you're going through it, you're like, don't think anything of it. But the older I get, you're like, that was just crazy.
What high school did you go to?
I went to a couple. I went to 3 actually. So St. Bede's in Mentone. And then I went to St. Kevin's for a year, both in Melbourne. And then and All Saints was the school.
Very
on the Goldie.
Very private school.
Yeah,
right?
correct. Yeah, absolutely.
Right, is that how you know a lot of the crew?
Yeah.
Like, Ed and that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Ed was a year below. Tom, his brother, was in my year, and then great cohort. All those guys, but then just used to drink all their coffees.
100%.
Still
Did
trying to.
And I might be totally off, but like even when we were coming through, we were in like a development system I was at Bronx in Brisbane, but went to school on the Gold Coast at Palmy. You think you're mad, like it's so cool. Like you rock up to school with like you might have a fresh pair of boots and joggers, and like it's a cool thing to be a part of the system. But you're actually in a professional system. Like is there ever a time where you're like, fuck man, I'm the man. Like obviously it's shit looking back now, but is there any times or any stories where like, because there was a few of you boys in there, right?
Correct, yeah. So there was 4 of us that went to All Saints, and there's one fella I want to absolutely throw under the bus, but I won't. And then there was two other guys who were at Helensvale.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so there's 6 of us at school. But to your point, you're like 17. Obviously, in Victoria, you didn't get your license until you're 18. You guys get it when you're 17. So we were already 17. License, disposable income. First thing that 17-year-old footballers buy, souped up utes.
So
those guys are rolling in fuck, what were they? XR6s, and Lukey Russell had not a Maloo, SV6.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So I used to borrow his. I didn't buy the car. I just borrowed his.
Yeah. Well, it's a communal car.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, man.
Can I borrow the ute again? Yeah. Stop driving over curbs. Sorry, Luke.
Yeah. Gotcha. And so, at what time? Like, was footy always going to be a professional thing for you growing up? Like, was that always the plan? Because I know you obviously you're really academic. Like, you've done a bunch of stuff outside, which I'm keen to touch on. But was it always going to be footy?
Yeah. I guess like that was the dream from an early age. As we touched on before, like basketball was sort of the first passion for sport. But yeah, footy just presented all these opportunities and was lucky enough to be able to get some of those. So yeah, when you're in that pathway, you're like, all right, this is me.
What study were you doing outside of sport?
So I started a double degree in law and commerce at Griffith.
Yeah.
Amazing, so flexible for us. Like, yeah, couldn't speak higher of the institution. And then, like long story short, did an internship at a legal firm. Didn't enjoy that. Dropped law. Just finished commerce. Yeah. Majored in finance. So
gotcha.
Yeah, was able to finish that while I was playing. So.
Mate, I get it. I see, and you probably see it a lot yourself. There's a lot of lads who obviously getting paid like pretty good cash at an extremely young age. Like, it's easy to fall in that trap of like, oh, I'll do this for the next 10, 15 plus years and not have to worry about it. Why was study such a big piece of it? And why did you go down that track? Yeah,
it's a good point. My parents, mum and dad, were always big advocates for like studying to make sure you had a backup plan post footy. And I guess I was kind of lucky. I just always had a natural interest in stuff outside of footy as well. Yeah. So it kind of went hand in hand.
I think that's got to be a big piece because I'm not sure you know, I work for like the Rugby League Players Association, so kind of like the AFLPA, and we work with a lot of guys who are transitioning out of the sport, so whether like retiring, transitioning over to the UK, or who just don't get a contract, mate. And so we'll do these catch-ups, and a big piece is like kind of like the identity purpose piece, like when they finish up, where
that's
they're just
the biggest piece, right?
Where they're like, I don't know, I don't know where I'm going to go to next. You know, obviously earning a heap of cash. One of my mates, incredible footy player, like played Origin, earning like 500,000 plus a year for multiple years. Yeah. Then when COVID hit, like no one was signing anyone, and so he didn't get a contract, and obviously like your lifestyle increases, you got a few mortgages that you need to pay. I remember having a conversation with him. It was like November, December. He's like, I've got cash till probably February, and then after that, like I'm getting on the tools. And then I remember that was a light bulb moment for me, and I was like, fuck, like, well, I was like, well, what do you want to do? Like, what do you want to do after sport? He's like, I don't know yet.
Yeah.
And like, do you see that in the AFL space?
100%, mate. Yeah, big time. Yeah, we were. I guess you've like obviously because is Prenda still at the Rugby League Players Association? Ian Prendergast, did you ever come across him?
No,
he must have been.
I'm fresh. I jumped on like end of last
year.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Well, I guess similar thing like that. The AFLPA and all the Players Associations. You've obviously seen the FPA over in London.
Did FPA, rugby, and then cricket as well.
Yeah, nice.
Cruise set.
Yeah, but they're so big on like setting yourself up for that next stage in life because it is so hard, and as you're experiencing like. The identity piece is massive. So to your point, the AFLPA was like amazing, like so supportive, massive advocates for doing stuff outside of footy. And then obviously on top of that, subsidising with like some courses or whatever it was, makes it like, a lot easier for you to do it. But then...
Sorry, you go.
No, I was just going to say that, but you have to like kind of want to do it as well and be in a club environment where they allow you to.
Did you get tertiary education when you were coming through it, like an allowance?
We got subsidised based on, so back in the day, they'd subsidise, even if you like failed a degree, like the fact that you took it, they would subsidise it. Realised not a great return on investment.
Things changed.
Correct, pretty quickly. But so I think there was a cap per year, how much you could get. But again, it's like, extremely helpful. And you can only do a certain amount of subjects, right?
So especially if you're like, playing professionally as well, like that's a huge part of it, and a lot of the guys have that. I guess they have that mind frame. It's like, I'm all in. Like I'm all in for you. I don't have to worry.
That's the other part. Yeah.
And I was like, mate, when I've got other stuff outside of footy, I'm probably playing better footy anyway. Yeah. Do you ever come across that? You reckon?
Yeah, I subscribe to that 100%. But then I guess it's a tough question, right? But on the other side of the fence, you could also see guys who are on the fringe, like wanting to improve, so therefore would spend all their extra hours like after training on their craft and trying to improve. But I think it comes down to like a mindset thing. If you're in that mindset and you're a bit anxious about performance and whatever, you're not willing to undertake studies or whatever it is. Like, it's not always studying. But if you are, to your point, if you are doing something outside of that, it kind of like almost distracts you from like whatever lack of performance, or you're in a slump.
Mate, it's a interesting conversation. I could talk at length. This is probably like one of my favorite things to talk about.
Yeah, and having been through it, you're so passionate about it. Hey?
Fully, but I think we get it probably better than anyone, because like we've been through it, and probably have seen mates who have struggled as well. That's probably a huge part of this podcast, like talking to crew, and educating, and guess like when other people can see people who they look up to going through similar things or talk about similar things, it's like, oh well, if like they can validate it, they can talk about it, they can provide tips and strategies, and it's kind of like, well, that makes it okay and makes it cool, and it's like, well, that actually can help, which I think is super important. You touched on anxiety before, and being anxious, especially like performance anxiety. How did you go when you came into the system at 17? Because I remember I came into the system when I was 18, and like I know the Suns had a lot of really big names when you guys first started. Similar to Bronx, like big names. I think the whole forward pack was like state of origin players. I remember shitting myself going into it. Like I remember like I didn't say a word for the first year. Like like the performance anxiety. I was like, I didn't want to drop a ball because worried that like they'll take the piss out of me, which they obviously do. How did you go when you first went into the environment so young?
It's an interesting one that's like not really been asked, but I guess we were kind of lucky, but also like kind of made it more difficult. So I came through as a 17-year-old, and there was 12 of us who came through, all 11, because Alex Keith decided to play cricket, and then obviously went to Adelaide and now at the Doggies. So there was 11 of us, and then we drafted people like born in our year, the following year, which ended up, so they were basically, like, long story short, there was 20 like 18-year-olds all coming through together. I guess
how many are in the squad?
42.
Like
I think
huge.
The average list size. Yeah. And we had concessions, so I reckon we probably started out with 46 actually. Anyway, throwing around a lot of numbers here, I don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about. But long story short, I guess we all sort of experienced that anxiety and that like desire to like impress those like senior leaders and senior players together. But then you also have, like, as is always the case, when you've got like a peer group so close in age, like you've kind of got that like extra added layer of like trying to impress people, and like as we have in Australia, like tall poppy syndrome, so you don't want to stick out and whatever. But I guess too, like professional sporting clubs, environments where they're like you've just got to put yourself out there, and like if you're trying hard on the field, like no one's ever gonna talk bad about you.
Was that a focus for you when you came in? Just like trying to work hard, or like what were you like when you came in? Was there any like, were you just happy to put yourself out there, or were times, and happy for you to talk about any times that were like, oh, actually this is pretty wild? Yeah,
to be like brutally honest, for me, like looking back now, I was like very like naive, very immature mentally. So it took a couple of years to like the first couple of years were like almost like a holiday. You're like up on the Gold Coast, like. But you're like coming in as this 17-year-old who had like not so much opportunities, but like interests outside of footy. So you're now in this environment where you're like, like footy's amazing. But in terms of like coming through and like obviously like working hard's like instilled in you from day one, but it's not something that I picked up until like a couple of years in, when you sort of had those examples, like knew what it looks like, and people to sort of leverage off.
Is it, you said like examples of like people working hard and like actually seeing it, because that's something that I fully resonate with. Like when you can see it, like that's the, I guess like that's the validation piece, and that's why you probably see teams that kill it. They're all like super hard workers and everyone's on the same page. And I know we probably weren't in the best of teams, like at the Gold Coast, like respectfully, like love the Goldie, like love.
Of course,
But going through different systems, you can see the difference. At what point, and who probably were the guys who showed you how to like, I guess, like be professional or like work hard? Was there any examples that you kind of leaned on?
Yeah. So when we came through, we had some senior players that we drafted. That they had priority selection over. Michael Riscatelli was the first one. Like he was for me, he was sort of the perfect balance of like manic trainer, but yeah, interests outside of footy, and that sort of holistic player. So many examples like that. David Swallow, who's just that, like same thing, just like an amazing trainer. Knew how to work hard from the get-go.
What are they doing? Like, what are the little things that they were doing? So, like, the trainers, like, what does that look like practically?
Yeah, so, like, the obvious one is just on the field, like, going as hard as they can, like, bullet a gate, as, like, some of our old coaches used to say. Inside every drill would just be emptying the tank with everything. And then everything else around that, like, their lifestyle revolved around footy, so they'd be... Every decision they made was almost like a reinvestment in like their business or their body, knowing that they'd get the most out of them with footy. The tangible stuff that you'd see was training, recovery, so like doing extras all the time, whatever it might be, like ice bars and stuff.
Did I hear a story of like one of the boys coming to the training for recovery at like 3 a.m. or something? Was it you that said that on a podcast? It wasn't like Ablett or someone. Like, someone said that someone was coming in at like 3 a.m. to do a recovery after a game or after a session.
Well, that's one of the like analogies that you. So people ask like, what was Gary Ablett like? Like an amazing guy, super generous. So we had they're still there, I assume, but at Metricon Stadium, whatever, Heritage Bank Stadium or whatever it is now, the ice bars are in the facilities, and when you go in, you have to sign in. And I remember going in of a morning, and you like look through the logbook, and Gary Ablett's name would be there at like 11 p.m, like 2 a.m. some nights.
That's so
whatever
wild.
it is. Yeah. He was like the ultimate in terms of recovery and getting the most out of his body. Yeah.
It's obviously an interesting piece because like he's doing the ice baths, I imagine, and doing all the recovery. But then you think now and how much data and how much study has gone into like sleep lately.
Yeah.
So you think like obviously you wonder what the balance is. Obviously education is a huge part of it, and sleep's a huge thing in the recovery space. So it's an interesting piece, man.
Yeah, definitely. And he would obviously have his sleep patterns, and he'd be getting his 8-9 hours.
Yeah.
He'd tick all the boxes, but he'd just find little windows of opportunity where he could go and squeeze an extra ice bath in. Because as you know, like travelling home, you get home at all hours from an interstate game. So
Of course.
Yeah.
Mate, looking back on your time on the Gold Coast, how do you find it? Like, would you do anything differently? Are you happy with your time there? Would you have liked to be in a different club? Like, how do you look back on your time in the Suns?
Yeah, obviously, like, extremely grateful and fortunate for it. And as they say, like, no regrets, wouldn't change a thing. But I guess looking at it a bit more objectively, having now been a bit more detached from it, from a like professional point of view and like opportunity wise, if I had the opportunity, like would have explored potentially going to another club just to get more playing time, whatever, get exposure to different coaching styles or different game plans that like may have suited my game style a bit better. But at the end of the day, like amazing time up there, amazing lessons that you learn.
Yeah.
And I feel like, as you said before, we weren't at the most successful clubs, but the resilience that like I've got from that I've noticed in everyday life is
Is that one of the biggest takeaways? From
Yeah,
sport,
it's one of the most obvious ones for me that I notice constantly for sure. Yeah.
Did you have just on the resilience piece? Did you have any injuries? Because how long you were in the system for 9 years?
Yeah, correct.
Any big injuries?
Yeah. So I had like probably 3 knee surgeries and 2 shoulder surgeries when I was there.
Gotcha.
That's like a great segue into this knee here.
Yeah, what are we looking at here at the moment? Because again, like for those, just to paint a picture for those who are listening and not watching, Tommy's in a big knee brace. He's got his leg up on the sofa in this like little wine bar that we're sitting at the moment. What have you done? How'd you do it?
A good descriptor is someone last night called me Forrest Gump. So just imagine a one-legged Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
Mate, I was playing basketball again, like back to the love of basketball. Playing basketball, like really innocuous bump midair, landed awkwardly on my left foot and tried to jump like immediately as I landed. So it was a bit of a perfect storm. And then, unfortunately, my patella tendon just ruptured and just gave way underneath me.
Yeah.
So yeah, not the most ideal thing. But to your point about like resilience and having been through those experiences before, I just like, so weird, but I just like went into this state, like I went into shock first, but then in this state of calm because I'd like known I've been there before. And you know, kind of the impact that like your mood has on everyone else's because you're the one that sustained the injury. So it was really, really bizarre. It was so like,
that's weird.
Mate,
that's
like
wild.
Almost like a flow state, but like when you're injured, like it's grim, but it's
It's interesting because I've never heard anyone talk about it like that since playing professional sport.
Yeah.
And touch wood, like I haven't had a huge injury since playing.
Yes.
I had a bunch. But don't want to get injured. Like obviously no one wants to get injured. But it's interesting that you talked about your mood and how that affects other people.
Yeah. I just had this like hyper awareness of like, like ultimately it was really good because it like gives you perspective and it kind of like forces you to put a positive spin on it, I guess. But yeah it was just super aware of like, all right, you're kind of like dictating the mood. Because I remember when I went down, I'm like, the first thing I remember, like obviously like felt it, but then I just remember hearing my opponent being like, oh my God, and like running down the other end of the court because it was quite graphic.
Gotcha.
So like, and then obviously all the attention shifts on you, so then your demeanour and everything sort of comes through tenfold.
Do you reckon footy helped you being like, because I look at you as like a very like glass half full kind of dude, like very, like you're very happy, very warm. Like you opened us up to your house to let us stay.
Absolutely.
Let us stay over the weekend, which I'm very
Apologies for waking you up last night, mate.
No, you're good, man.
Definitely wasn't 4 a.m.
This morning.
Not at all.
I was sitting out here, I was just like, oh, Tom only got in a couple of hours. Yeah, I was like, going and waking up. Said to Co's, our videographer, I was just like, at what point do we go in and wake up?
Yeah. What point do we go and jump on the bed?
I was like, what I was getting at is just like, you've got this very like warming, I guess like aura about you, and obviously like that comes into the glass half full, like positive attitude. Do you think footy played a part in that? And I don't mean to put words in your mouth, or is that just from like family, the crew you hang around? Like, where do you think that comes from?
Yeah, for sure. Like definitely a bit of both. So background, mum's Fijian. I feel like they're the friendliest people in the world. As you played with a bunch of Pacific Islanders and the likes. So definitely get that from her and dad as well. He's an extremely warm and welcoming man. But yeah, to your point, footy 100%. So like this is like perfect example. You're like, I've been through this injury. Like a lot of people could potentially look at this and be like, oh, like you like poor bugger, whatever. But yeah, it's almost just like a refusal to have like any kind of victim mentality kind of thing. So
well, it's also like like what is kicking stones going to do?
Yeah, exactly.
Like fuck, it's not going to help.
I like that one. Kicking stones.
That's a huge piece. I remember like I got medically retired from footy, so I had too many head knocks and too many concussions, and everyone afterwards, like a couple months afterwards, a year afterwards, started like the podcast, and you go on other people's podcasts, and like, how'd you feel? Like and yeah, like you're sad, you probably like mourn for a little bit, which is totally normal. But a lot of times, like, well, what am I going to do? Like, kick stones?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Feeling sorry for myself isn't going to help anyone. It's not going to help me go forward.
Yeah.
So you always think like, well, what's next?
Yeah,
and look at you with your knee. You're like, oh, well, like, I'm actually going to be conscious of my mood because that's going to impact other people.
Yeah,
so it's cool that that's at the forefront.
Yeah, 100%. And they're like, as you said, they're the beauty and like some of the lessons you get from playing sport. So
Mate, just on your career before we move on, highlight. Is there a highlight of your career, like a moment in a game or coming into a certain place? Like, is there, when you look back in your career, it's like, that's one of my favourite or a couple favourite moments?
Yeah. I guess like any, not because there were so few, but any win that you had was amazing. But I grew up supporting Collingwood, and I remember, during my time up there, they were not our bunny team, but we had the wood over them. I remember, obviously not too well because I can't remember what the year was. 2014, we had a really good win against Collingwood. I had my parents there, and my brother, and a couple of friends as well, actually. So it was obviously a really strong win. Got to rub it in my parents' and brother's nose, and then go and celebrate the day after with friends. So yeah, just that feeling of elation, as you know, in the change room is like incomparable to anything, I think.
I think that's probably like a beautiful segue into like the transition out of sport, because it's obviously that plays a huge part. And the first question that I think everyone asks, but it's obviously a relevant question, is like, do you miss it? Like, do you miss those moments at all?
Yeah, you miss those like isolated moments. And the other big thing I miss, like working as a corporate drone now, is the work environment of a sporting club versus an office. Yeah. Obviously, like poles apart. But again, when you're going through it, that's all you know. So you can't really compare it to what you know now. But yeah, going in and seeing like 40 of your best mates and going out and training is like a pretty cool experience and a pretty cool way to work, in quotation marks. But yeah, in terms of like the whole package, don't miss it at all, mate, to be honest.
It's funny that you say that, man, because I'm exactly the same.
Right, you get it.
While I like rugby, it's a great job, hang around the boys, train, be fit, it's amazing. Do I love it? Would I go back?
Yeah.
Respectfully, probably not.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially like life at the moment, so good.
Yeah.
Like I look at your like here in New York, like it seems like you got such a great community around you at the moment.
Yeah.
Like we we're talking about on the way in, like all the Aussies that are around, like it just looks like you're in a little flow at the moment. Looks like everything's like always happening, and so it's just like, well, like it's while it was a fun time of your life, happy to go see what's next.
For sure, mate. It's almost like an ex-girlfriend, isn't it? Like when you're like immediately finished, all you remember are the good times. But like if you actually like set aside some time and you like think about it like methodically, you're like, okay, what didn't I like about it? What are some of the things like in this situation are better than like what they were previously? It becomes pretty apparent.
It's a beautiful analogy, bro.
Yeah. True.
I'm glad we
Shout out to all the exes,
R.I.P.
Yes. Correct.
We're respected, of course. Mate, what was the reason to retire? Like, what was why finish up?
Yeah, well, I've initially wanted to get a trade. So as we were talking about before, like look for other opportunity elsewhere. But again, being like super honest, the motivation behind that was for like post-footy stuff. So I wanted to go to a Melbourne or a Sydney club to like basically get connections with their board members so that I could like potentially transition elsewhere after. That didn't eventuate. There wasn't too much interest. And I realised, so Gold Coast offered me another contract. But yeah, I had a light bulb moment where I was like, I'm not in this for the right reasons. And yeah, I was just burnt out.
How old were you?
What was I? 27, I think.
That's still probably considered to be pretty young
in
the scheme of things.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
Ballsy call, or just happy to move on.
To be honest, like speaking of like anxiety and all those kind of emotions that you go through, that was like probably the most anxious time of my life so far.
How so?
I was just in that period of like trying to get a trade, not having any interest out there. And then B, weighing up whether or not I was like ready and willing to commit to another pre-season, like giving everything for your teammates. Sounds a bit dramatic, but yeah, like purely for that reason. And like, I guess just the weight on my shoulder, like subconsciously I knew it wasn't the right thing to do. And that just ate away at me for a couple of weeks.
Is it kind of like the anxiety of not knowing?
No, I think it was honestly the anxiety of like me trying to convince myself that I wanted to continue to play footy and not let anyone down by retiring, which is like stupid, right? It's like obviously the right thing to do.
It's obviously a pressure piece, yeah, because you've got so many mates and family, and you're so young, and so many people would be like, well, why? Like you've got so much more talent, but if you're not in it, and you're not probably like, I don't know, it sounds a bit corny, but like being a bit true to yourself, then happy to move on.
Yeah, exactly.
It's how did you find those couple years coming out of it? Because talking to a lot of crew, there's always some sort of not hiccup, but there's some sort of transitional piece. Whether financially is obviously a big one, psych, purpose, employment, like this. Everyone struggles at some capacity. How was your transition out?
Yeah, you touched on it perfectly before. Like the identity piece and purpose piece for me was like massive. And I was, I guess, a lucky one who had somewhat of a plan, finished my uni degree, had a couple of interviews and trial jobs as soon as I finished. So I had offers like immediately, which was, again, extremely fortunate. It was a really good job market. which was lucky. But mate, it took me a fair while to get that identity piece down pat. And a good example is when I started at my first job post footy, we went out this was just before the pandemic, so it started 2020. I went out for a couple of like Friday office drinks, and it was like so embedded in me that you like Friday is like never a day to drink because you're playing like footy on the Saturday. That I like I still remember the feeling so distinctly, like feeling guilty having a beer at a work function like on a Friday.
That's so wild to think about.
And I was like, mate, you're not even playing footy like tomorrow. Like, but you, as you know, like you just get institutionalized, don't you?
You've been in it for so long, and there's a heap of like those little analogies, man, all the time. Even like eating certain foods at a certain time.
Yes,
like,
100%, man.
Like you're like, I gotta have. I'm gonna do a big workout tomorrow. I gotta have pasta and carbs. Why is that the case?
Yeah.
Like, why does that have to be it? It's even doing this podcast. Even when I first started, I was like, I'll try and relate it to like a game. So like today's like game day. You know what I mean? So I'll get up.
I was wondering why you had your jocks folded on the couch when I walked out there.
You got your special hat on, your special shirt on.
Didn't mean to sniff them, but I did.
No, but it's like it's funny, man. Those real
crazy,
innocuous things that it plays a huge part of it.
Yeah. Were you the same, like transitioning out as well?
Well, I think mine was a bit different because it got stopped.
Got taken away from you.
Yeah. But then, it was kind of like a little bit sad, a little bit emotional. Actually, I played it out. It was really sad. I was really upset.
It is what it is,
of course. But then again, I had that mindset of like, what's next? And I think I'm very similar to yourself.
Right.
Like, I was curious about a lot of other things.
Yeah.
Curious about mental health. Curious about helping people. Wasn't sure what it was going to look like.
Yeah.
And I asked the question before about like the anxiety of not knowing it. And the uncertainty, because that was me. Like, I while I was like a business degree, I was halfway through an MBA. Had offers to do things, but still like super anxious. I remember waking up at like 2-3 in the morning because when I get anxious, I can't sleep. So and training is my coping mechanism. So I'll just go for a run at like 2 or 3 in the morning.
Wow.
Remember I had a partner at the time and she's just like, what are you doing? Like I was just wired at like so early in the morning. And so when you're in it, it's hard to understand it. But then you're looking back and you're like, oh, that's anxiety. That's what that is. So man, to answer your question, it was a little bit tricky. But then you go through, after like talking to people, you sort of hear their stories and you sort of have an understanding of like everyone goes through this sort of struggle. It might be 1, 2, 3 years. But then once you figure out what you really want to do and get in a good place, then you look back, you're like, I'm so happy that I do that.
Mate, 100%. I think that's what it is too, like figuring out what you want to do. Like, takes some people their whole lives. So
because it's an easy thing to say, I think, like, just go like figure it out. Like, how did you know what you wanted to do?
A little bit of trial and error. So I wanted to be a lawyer when legal studies was like my favourite subject in school, whatever. Did an internship and just hated it. So I was like, all right, like law's not for me.
Gotcha. And
luckily, like was doing commerce, like very applicable to business and sort of relevant to like a lot of like the business side of things. It was like honestly like lucky that I kind of had 2 options when I was studying.
Huge, man, huge. I think a big part of your story is obviously like coming over here to New York. Like huge piece. How did that come about? Like, was it always like this little thing where it's like, New York would be mad? Like, how did it come about?
Well, seeing as you brought up exes before.
I don't think I did. I thought that was you, man.
It's an absolute handball under the bus for you. Came out here in 2016 and honestly just like fell in love with the city. So I was like, all right, need to get out here. Had a really good family friend who's a great mentor to me still to this day. Luke McDonald, if you're listening, probably not, but love you. Was out here. He was out here at the time as well, working as an investment banker. So caught up with him, picked his brains, and basically just tried to replicate his pathway to get out here.
Really,
So I guess from then on, I kind of knew like a couple of like small milestones, like complete the degree, get some relevant experience, get enough years under the belt, and then come out here and give it a crack.
So you're doing that in Melbourne?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Similar thing.
What do you think were the best steps that you took, or what were the little things that you actually helped get you here? Because I imagine, obviously, the overview is great, and having ticking off the wins is unreal. The boys must be prepping. Yeah. Prepping next door.
The ice machine.
If the ice machine's going. They've already made us a couple of ice on blacks before, so they're doing good.
Correct. We can't tell them to shut up just yet, can we?
No, they're good. But if you were, what were the little things that you did to get here? Because I imagine there's a bunch of them there. Yeah,
great question. And it's funny because as you stay here for a little bit longer, you have people trying to forge a similar path to you come and ask you for that advice. And I spoke to a young fella the other day actually. Biggest thing for me was just being proactive and lining up interviews, coffees, meetings before coming over here. So I've got again spreadsheets.
The spreadsheet guy, the finance guy.
not that I'm any good at them, but I have them. I had 60 meetings / coffees / interviews lined up.
Before coming over?
Before coming over.
What, just calls, Zooms, the whole thing?
Calls, Just networking with people that, and this is something else that I told him. Using your network, and it's hard for Aussies, right? Because we hate asking for help.
Yeah.
But the Yanks over here are fucking legends. So helpful with that stuff. Really happy to put you in touch with other people. So using your immediate network, and then when you have that chat with them, who are within your relevant industry, of course, asking them to put you in touch with 2 more people. Gotcha. So it just grows exponentially.
And you find people are willing to do that?
Yeah, massively. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It's really interesting, man. I think the Americans, they just love helping people, and I don't know. They all just do it to each other, and whether it reflects on them or whatever. Not sure what the motivation is, but yeah, super happy to open doors.
Mate, that's so sick. Because I look at that even coming over here with the podcast.
Yes.
Is that we had a really good op. To come over here with Whoop. We're going to go over to the Whoop HQ in Boston. And I was like, what else can we do? And then same thing, rinse the contacts list and tried to find people who are maybe 1 or 2 degrees away from you. So whether that being you might know for yourself, right? Obviously mutual friends, hadn't actually met you, and I think Blakey.
Yes.
Blake did the intro.
Great man.
And so that's a perfect 1 degree away. And I was oh, that's sick. And now we're in New York, we're in the Secret Wine Bar. There's a beautiful little wine club that's going to happen.
Yes.
Bro's been making this ice on blacks and fresh OJ. I was mate, that get to stay with you. I was mate, that's a perfect example of just reaching out. And having an idea. There was a time I think, and then be careful because there's a couple weeks ago, obviously. Reached out to a heap of crew, and everyone's oh, so happy. I'll put you in this with this person, put you in with this person. But nothing was actually locked in. We didn't have, because I was telling you, we got I think 10 or 11 podcasts while we're here in 10 days. So it's busy. But a lot of them weren't locked. A lot of them were we'll do it. But I was okay, but time, location, date, and
even this one, right? Yeah, this is kind of last minute,
And so it's and obviously people want to help. I remember thinking a couple of weeks out, we don't have anything locked in. We're just going to be spending all this cash, and the podcast is a passion project. I do it because I love it. But I was this is a huge expense just to come over. I was what if we just don't have anyone?
What if we go over there and Tommy doesn't even have an apartment? We're not going to talk to anyone. There is no wine bar. We'll piss and win this bloke. It was Layla.
But mate, how are you finding it? Because obviously you did all the hard work, right? 60 interviews and catch-ups is really impressive. How are you finding it over here? You've been here for what, 12 months, 18 months now?
11 months, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Not to get specific and count, but I'm going to have my New York birthday, as they call it, in a couple of weeks. But loving it. The experience is amazing. Getting to again, work with Americans, witness how they go about things and operate has been really good. Really, Aussies have amazing initiative and an ability to think outside the box. Which is very noticeable when you come here. But Americans are so direct, obviously, and literal, but clear with their communication. And they're also not afraid to not rub someone off the wrong way, but I guess as a byproduct of their directness, you just cut through so much of communicative nuances back in Australia that you'd have. It's almost like a political thing, whereas here it's everything's kind of like black and white.
Gotcha.
And no one takes offence to it. It's
so
amazing.
sick.
Yeah.
Do you think this will be your spot for the next couple of years? Do you want to come back to Australia?
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, I think this will be my spot for the next few years. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Long term?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely medium term. I feel like I've got to give it like 5 years minimum to try and like whatever, make a name for yourself or like, have an opportunity where you can sort of like run with it.
What's the goal professionally? Like you're obviously in investment banking.
Yeah.
Like what does a dream look like for someone in the investment banking world?
Well, so I'm at a small boutique firm, Oakland's to Silver and Phillips. Really, really good shop, obviously. I guess the dream here is to try and build your network. Like obviously back home, as you know, like playing sport, you have like a fairly decent network. Everything in America is just like 1,000 times the scale. Yeah. So if you're able to build a network over here, I think you'd be able to get some pretty good opportunities to make a good crack of it. Yeah. Like it's not even climbing the corporate ladder, to be honest. Like our firm's like really collaborative. Everyone like works together. So if like dreaming big, if you're able to build your own sort of network and generate some deal flow there, there could be some like pretty big opportunities and stuff that'd set you up for life.
I don't know if it's similar for you, but with myself and with a lot of mates, it's like when you're playing sport, you want to be the best. Like you're always striving to be the best at whatever you do, whether it's like games, drills, like even trying to get your body right. Like you just the best. Like that's the goal.
Yeah.
And then I'm looking at that since coming out. I was like, well, okay, well, I want to be the best, like, play a transition matter. I want to have the best podcast, like, and that's always the goal.
100.
How do you go when you came out and you're in the investment banking world? Do you still want to be the best in that industry? Yeah,
for sure. And it I feel like New York is the best city for that. But you've also got to I don't know, I guess like you've got to kind of not eat humble pie, but realise that like these people are like, it's a complete, like to be an elite in one aspect in life or one field in life is like such an achievement. To do it in like an industry that's been going, since the dawn of time, commerce and like trade, is quite difficult. So I guess for me, I realised like what part I'm playing in and participating in. And also with sport, like being the best, we were so lucky because that was so measurable. We had results every week. Whereas here, working on deals and doing your craft here, I guess, takes 12, 18 months time until you see a result. So it's kind of hard to like, I guess measure it up against like a scoreboard, basically. It's a much longer process.
Is a bit of a balance? Because outside looking in, when you think investment banking, probably think that you're spending a heap of like late nights. It's very busy. It's very hard. Balance. Is balance a big thing over here? Like obviously everyone's having fun and it's mad. But is that something that's topical or? What's your
it is. There? Yeah. Well, obviously, like the perception coming over is like, and again, like firms are different. My firm's like amazing with their work-life balance. That's relative to New York. So can't really compare it to Australia, but that's the other thing too. Like because there's like everyone's kind of in the same like on the same wavelength. So you manage to find a way to like find balance. So
What are the things that you're doing outside of work? What are your hobbies at the moment?
I like DJing. I love music. So picked that up a few years ago for a friend's wedding. And again, talking of like scale and opportunities in New York, like honestly, like all my mates would be like, oh yeah, bullshit. But like not promoting myself over here, but getting more opportunities to like play gigs and whatever than I would back home.
Really? Yeah. Why is that?
Because there's so many opportunities and the scale here is just so much bigger.
So you're just taking your USB everywhere you go. Like if things popping up like later last night, it's just like, Tom, can we get you on the desk for an hour?
I'm not even joking. It's actually in my wallet.
You got it
in my wallet. Yeah, I carry it with me 24/7.
So sick. Was music always a thing? No?
It was, yeah. Gotcha. Growing up, mum and dad, they played in a cover band actually, called U3 because they were bigger than U2. Classic.
That's so good.
Yeah. So I've always loved music, but yeah, mate. In terms of hobbies here, that's the other thing. Like, there's clubs for everything. Like, you guys are going on a run club after this. There's just so many opportunities. So like, everyone's got like these like weird and quirky hobbies over here.
Is there a DJ club, or are you just going to bars? You just going to bars and restaurants?
Yeah. Came up with a business idea there.
You'll know every bar and restaurant by the end of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, that's so sick. Man, I've really enjoyed this conversation, man.
Absolutely.
I think like even just the way you talk, like I feel like we've had a very similar sort of like career in the sense of being at the Gold Coast, liking footy, but then having like a lot of interest away from it, and the way you've transitioned, mate, it's super impressive. Like I think it's super cool. Looking back on your career, the last couple of years, what do you reckon is the best bit of advice that you've even received, or something that you'd like to pass on to a crew who are coming up?
In turn, like professionally, like for sport or for life?
Maybe
or...
I was leaning towards life, but if there was something more professionally that popped up.
Yeah, let's go with that. Like, be a bit more philosophical. Enunciate your words. That's the best bit of advice. No.
Don't get on the piss before a podcast. Don't get home at 3-4 in the morning before doing a potty.
Why'd I get an orange juice? Should have got a mimosa. Wrong order. Thank God. Yeah. Thought I felt good. What's my best bit of advice? Okay, let's go with this one. So Dad's like, he's not religious, but he loves Buddhism, views it as a lifestyle rather than religion. Obviously, like quite spiritual, but it's extremely practical. Like it's amazing. So one of the Dalai Lama's favourite quotes is like, and it seems, I guess, kind of straightforward, but don't stress about the things you can't change, accept them. Don't stress about the things you can change them. Gotcha. So it's, I guess an overarching message for me is like you were saying before, like why kick rocks? Like if something's happened, like you've ruptured your patella tendon, nothing you can do about it. Like unfortunately you got to like swallow the pill and move on. But then there are things you can change. So like be proactive about like finding a surgeon or whatever it is, like whatever that applies to in life. There are things that you can change to fast track your path to wherever you want to get to.
That's a beautiful thing, bro.
So what about you? What's yours? I feel like you'd have some.
I don't know. You put
me
on
the spot here.
I was just asking the questions.
Not used to this,
I was just asking the questions.
This is my podcast now. Hey guys, welcome to Tommy's podcast.
You'd have a beautiful podcast here, man. Imagine a couple of little tracks playing at the start, little background.
Yeah.
You can actually incorporate that, little chats and DJ.
That's a good shout. Mate, good collab idea.
Well, like, even like the Fred again thing, and I'm not moving on because I'll circle back, but obviously like Fred again's obviously he's killing it at the moment.
Yeah.
Jumped on the bandwagon late. But I watched this clip that he did in London. It was like a London rooftop, and it was like an hour and 20 set. And it was just like, it started in the light time and then went into like night time. I was seeing people just like crowding around. It's just like nice like study or work music to have on the background, and it's sick. And I was looking at that and I was like, fuck, that's actually such a cool thing. I was like, I'm wondering how to try and incorporate like something like that into like a conversational kind of setting. I don't know. Just top of mind. But
hell yeah, you gotta have those like visions and dream big.
Well, it's sick, man. It was such a cool little thing. I was just like, even coming in here to Layla, I was just like, oh, it'd be sick to like spend a bit of time here this afternoon. Like, I'll maybe pull you in. We'll see how we go.
Get comfy in these boots. Yeah, it's weird that my bum imprint's already here from last night. But anyway.
I don't know. To answer your question, the best bit of advice that stands out. Actually, I do. It's a quote called like it's like layers of paint that build a mountain. Okay. So imagine every action, everything that you do is like a layer of paint. Yeah. And then after 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, you do keep doing all the right actions, and you've got like this big, beautiful mountain of a really great piece of work. Yeah. And so I look at that with like psychology, the podcast, the lived experience in like the player association world. Like I feel like every action that I want to do, I want to create like positive change and like positive impact. So going back to uni and having like that legitimacy, and also like what actually helps positive mental health and helping people. So that's one. I think this podcast, I really love this. That is my favorite thing in the world. But each conversation is another like layer of paint, and you're learning as well. And the compounding effect is that, and really trying to move the needle on mental health. But like not just in mental health, but like apply that to anything you want to do. Like people in the sporting space, like getting to training earlier, like you're talking about, the
Yeah.
recovery piece.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to be a great player, like, what are all those little actions? So,
Yeah.
layer of paint that build a mountain, that's like, I think my favourite
I
one.
like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
man.
great, mate. I'm gonna
But look
start
at us,
incorporating
man.
that. Yeah.
Philosophical on a
Yeah,
Sunday
hell
morning,
yeah.
man.
Are we levitating?
Yeah, we'll have a little meditate after this. Man, before we finish up, is there anything that you'd like to touch on before we
Mate, I think you've covered it all extremely well. Very conversational and flowing too. So, unfortunately not. I've got nothing for you. I don't even have a joke.
What are you gonna have a joke for us?
Why did the Mexican push his wife off a cliff?
Why?
Tequila.
That's fucking terrible, man.
Correct. Cut that one.
Oh man, we're delirious. Let's wrap this up. Mate, thanks so much for coming on, man.
Pleasure,
Thanks for
mate.
having
Pleasure.
us. Like, this
course.
is one of the most like unique podcasts I think we've ever done.
Nice.
Being here in New York, hanging out with you, man. I'm very grateful that you, just had us for the last couple of days, and mate, pumped to see what the next couple of years look like, bro.
Absolutely. Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks,
Pleasure to have you, boys.